So we're now on day 57 of the seven-figure climb. And what I thought I would do here is go over some of the biggest mistakes I see people making in the course creation business. I'm in the Kajabi group. I see it in the Kajabi group. I also see it a lot in the ClickFunnels group. But this is my take on this industry. You create a home study course to scale that course and sell a few thousand of those to make $1 million or 2 million and so on. You have to create something that's home study and sell a lot of that to make a lot of money. If you're selling coaching, you can charge $5,000, $7,500, or $10,000. So if you charge $5,000, you can actually make $1 million with 200 clients, or you can make $2 million with 400 clients. The more interaction you have with the client, the more money you need to charge them, because the more interaction you have, the less scalable the thing is. So we can't really very well sell 5,000 people into a coaching program and work with some of them individually. Very, very difficult to do that. So because we're going to reduce the amount of people we're working with there, we need to increase the amount of money. The problem I see in the marketplace, the first problem is people want to over deliver in the course, which would be fine, except what they're doing is they're adding their time into it. So what people want to do is they want to give course buyers, they want to give them surveys and tests and all of these things that require an additional interaction. So how can you actually scale something if you're giving people surveys and tests and quizzes and things that they're going to ultimately expect someone to look at? Now, you can certainly do home study. You can give them a quiz, you can give them a test, and then they can self-grade. They can do that. But if you're doing all of these things and you're going to have a private Facebook group and they're going to send you these things and you're going to look at them individually and give feedback, to me, it's just a huge mistake, because either A, you're going to very significantly limit how many of these you can sell, or B, if you sell a lot of them, you're going to want to jump off a building, because what's going to happen is you're going to ultimately have a lot of very unhappy people, because people are going to give you $1,000 for a course and they're going to go through all of these things. They're going to send stuff to you, and then you're not going to be able to respond to it in time. It's going to be very difficult. And if you ultimately have to hire a team, you're going to have to hire a team, train the team, and the money is going to be that you're going to have a lot of seepage and leakage and spend a lot of money doing that. And like I said, it's very interesting because I'm baffled by that. I'm not selling a home study course so that you can send me, we can interact 15 times and you can send me things and I can grade them. That's what you do in a coaching relationship. That's not what you do in a course creation or a home study relationship. Now, you don't have to do home study at 1,000. You can certainly do a modulated course where you deliver content on one day and then you have live question and answer on another day. But you're going to charge a lot more for that, because you're going to limit how many people can be in that class at a time. So what you want to think about is more interaction is always going to be more money. And the more interaction you have with them, the more they've got to be paying you. And so you're doing modulated courses, you're going to charge 5,000, 7,500, 10,000. But what I see is a lot of people selling $500 and $1,000 courses, and that what they're doing is creating a job for themselves. They're over delivering, and they're promising all of this feedback for very little money. And in my opinion, the goal for home study is to scale. So with home study, we scale. With coaching, we keep the numbers lower, but we get more money per client. And the next mistake a lot of people make, and I used to be guilty of this, not so much anymore, but I see it all the time. My good friend Dan Deline did this, and we're going to talk about him in the next video. But we helped him to scale a course to 120,000 in about 10 days. And unfortunately, he couldn't stop messing with it. He just wanted to keep changing it and adding things and adding new modules and changing modules. And it was like it was a never-ending product that was never going to be done. If you want to follow someone who did it and did it right, Sam Ovens. Sam Ovens did it and did it right and made millions and millions and millions of dollars. He created the products and then he spent all of his energy focused on selling them. He did not keep messing with them and trying to improve them. Now, Consulting Accelerator is 50 hours. Took him a long time to make that. But what he didn't do is he didn't do Consulting Accelerator 2.0 and a Consulting Accelerator 3.0 and go in and update Module 4 and Module 5 and Module 6. And I'm not telling you not to improve what you're creating. Every few years, you might want to recreate something or improve it. And there are ways to do that. There are systems and formulas for that. But what you don't do is you don't create something, start selling it. And then the whole time you're selling it, you're constantly adding modules and changing things around, because what you do is you stop your growth. That's all you're doing. You're making sure that you're never going to get the airplane off the ground. You're never going to get to scale because you're going to spend all of your time doing that. Now, Dan Deline did have a coaching aspect to it, a private Facebook group. They did some live question and answer. And what's interesting, the way they had this thing set up, they could have still scaled very, very well. But the problem was he just was never happy with the product that they sold. And I'll tell you where this comes from. The problem is, and I've seen this many, many, many times. It was, I saw Dan do it. I saw, to a point, Kimber Luna do it. The problem is when someone makes a large amount of money and a lot of people give them money, they immediately have imposter syndrome and they feel like they have not delivered enough to these people, when in actuality, they probably have. And if people are unhappy, they'll ask for refunds. So what happens is someone gives us money for something, and then what we want to do is overcompensate or over deliver. And I see it a lot in the space. And so we want to over deliver. We're going to give them quizzes. We're going to give them tests. We're going to give them surveys. We're going to give them more calls. We're going to give them more information, when what you should do is just create the thing. As long as your refund situation isn't out of line, focus on scaling it and be happy with what you've created. But there are a lot of people who create something and never happy with what they created, because they they have imposter syndrome and they just want to keep making it. They want to make something perfect and give the person every conceivable situation. And you just can't do that. You just really can't. And, if you're going to do that, what you need to do is basically do a modulated course or do a training that includes coaching, charge a lot more for it, and sell it to a lot fewer people, and manage expectation that way. And again, the problem with over delivering, the problem with doing all of this feedback, is that when people buy from you and they buy from you in numbers, and then you can't give them the feedback immediately, you can't manage the expectation, well, you create a refund problem that you never would have had if you didn't promise those things. So I just want to give you some insights there, but we are going to move on. And in the next video, we're going to talk about Dan Deline. I'm going to tell you Dan's story.